Welcome everyone, Questini here with my Tamurkhan the Maggot Lord campaign guide. It is a bit weird to make a campaign guide for Tamurkhan at the moment because there's certainly bugs and oversights with Nurgle that currently exist that I do believe that Creative Assembly is going to fix in the next patch pretty soon. Like for instance, in terms of post-battle loot, if I go over here and just resolve this particular army, there is a limit in terms of how many infections you can gain per battle at 12. The limit should be 150. Now, I have a mod installed that achieves that result, that does remove the cap and sets it to 200. There's apparently a mod to 150, I couldn't find it. But I know that this is going to be fixed. It is an acknowledged bug as far as I know. At least this is what people have said. So that's one of the reasons I was a bit iffy on making a guide on Tamurkhan, because I know there's going to be issues like this, or maybe victory conditions, climate, all that are going to be fixed in the next patch. So I'm building this on the assumption that Creative Assembly is going to fix these issues. Certainly, they're going to fix the infection issue. Whether or not they change the situation climate is a different thing. Now, I do have the Champions of Chaos DLC as well, and we're certainly going to use a lot of the units there. If you don't have the Champions of Chaos DLC and you're playing any demonic faction, well, I'd recommend that you get it. You can probably get it at the sale. So first things first, we're going to get the Rancid Alloy, whatever, the Sealing, because we want to get Forsaken of Nurgle, and we want to get Marauders of Nurgle, and then, yeah, Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. Research-wise, you do want to get that growth, and we want to get basically everything over here. Like, being able to get more infections through post-battle loot is a fairly significant buff that shouldn't be ignored. So over here, we're just going to... We could declare war on Archaon, but I would not recommend it. So your vision over here is certainly going to be limited. We already got 6 nominants. We're going to be able to get Kaisk. We could sack this element for more infections, and getting those infections early on is actually quite a substantial benefit. And yeah, you have to unlock Kaisk if you're going to be able to use any of the others. Okay, so let's just take this element and repair the structures. And we're gonna get faster cults. I think like one of the things that would be nice with Nurgle is if you can get infections for settlements just by occupying them. Maybe a bit less than sacking them, because it kind of creates this bad campaign dynamic. Now, what we're gonna want to do in terms of Tamurkhan's chieftains, we're going to want to get Doombolt as quickly as possible over here, because he gives you the most amount of power. You can get a peace agreement with the Dolgan. Because you start a war with Kholek, so what's gonna happen here? He's gonna take the challenge zone on turn 1, and that will force the Dolgan to become his vassals. So you'll still be at war with the Dolgan, and then you go deal with Kholek. Now we do have a bunch of unit recruitment that we could get access to, but I would recommend getting higher Nurgle corruption and use the commandment to foster cults for even more Nurgle corruption. Your starting army is capable of dealing with a lot of things. So next turn, we're just going to move over here towards the Chimera Plateau, go deal towards Kholek, and then eventually start working our way towards Grimgor. Now, the victory condition does require you to destroy Grimgor, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I think if you want to achieve your short campaign victory condition, it's not really that useful of a benefit, honestly, like Winds of Magic. For the pain and suffering that defeating Grimgor would require, it's really not worth it. I mean, if you want to get your long campaign victory condition, absolutely, that's a different thing, but you can vassalize Grimgor and achieve that later on. Or you could go to war with Grimgor, but the problem with going to war with Grimgor right now is the climate over here, unpleasant climate. And honestly, I think like they should really change this so you can vassalize these factions, because vassalization is such a significant strength in a Nurgle campaign, it's not even funny. Okay, so over here, a couple turns later, I have defeated Kholek. He actually force marched over here, and he is going to do so because he's going to get a lot of units, cast trolls, maybe Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. He's going to throw all that against you. You can counter him, and the way you counter him, you've got Case, who's got a good amount of damage, good amount of armor piercing. Tamurkhan has an anti-large benefit. You have these Plague Ogres good against infantry. You have these Raw Knights who have that anti-large benefit. So all of these units, as well as the Chaos Warriors just in general, will be able to handle what Kholek throws your way. And you will be able to get, one, a Cultist Ample Marble, which reduces construction costs, very useful for Nurgle. A Bog, which gives you, obviously, the income. And there's an objective you're potentially going to get fairly early in the Nurgle campaign, and one of these objectives is to get 200 infections for 1500 and 1500 favor. And you can use those infections for two things. One, you could obviously use them to rush construction, but more importantly, you could get your first plague. Like, you could get the plague earlier than this if you really want to, but I'd recommend you save until you get to this particular point, because with this particular plague, you can, with this amount of infections that you can get here, with 350, you can increase the chance of the plague spreading by 55, and also increase duration if you want to, if you want to go for higher turns, reduce immunity duration, all that kind of stuff, right? So you're going to go full in on this particular plague. I'm not going to increase duration, but I am going to increase the spread chance, because I do want it to spread, to affect my enemies, to get the casualty replenishment benefit that I do want over here. Also, by the way, if you're struggling to defeat Kholek early on, if you think you can't go up against like 4 Chaos Trolls, 3 Shaggoths, or, sorry, Dragon Ogres, not Shaggoths. Shaggoths would not be beatable like that. You could just play more defensively, wait for yourself to get more, like, Marauders of Nurgle, Forsaken Nurgle, all that. Like, over here, I did lose a Marauder in Nurgle. Fun fact, the Greenskins that Kholek starts a war with, but you don't, they did attack. They did besiege this particular settlement. So, loot and occupy the settlement. You're going to get the rebellion right shortly thereafter. I am going to wait over here to get... No, actually, I'm not going to wait, because I'm going to want to save those infections for Grimgor. So I'm at 50 Chaos Corruption, so I would pay more to recruit stuff here. But I'm just going to get that rebellion over here very quickly. I'm actually just going to move him outside of the settlement to increase the chance. So get the rebellion here, just wait for it to spawn. And once you do get that particular rebellion, yeah, just work with that. And yeah, just keep fighting battles to get more dominance. And, just work on these objectives in the process. You're likely going to get a rebellion from Kholek when it does spawn from Kholek's faction. And the benefit here is you could, start increasing this even further, because if you can get aligned with him quickly enough, you can get, like, dominating presence. The alternative to get a fealty with him is to, create plagues, which I've certainly done. So if you create another plague, that would guarantee it, so just be aware of that. It is a significant benefit. What we want here, not control, we want to get infection, so we want to spread that Nurgle corruption just to reduce our recruitment costs. It can take a bit, though. Okay, it is turn 16 in this particular campaign, and I'm about to take Saber Mountain and deliver the knockout blow to the ogres. But first, what we're going to do is create one final plague in order to get the allegiance level of Case higher, because we need to do that. We need to first get them to aligned before we can get any of the others. And now we get another chieftain. So now more objectives. Let's take a look at the mission. So recruit a unit, recruit 30 units, get cultists, which will give you hero action cost. That's not really too significant. Most battles current won by a single hero. That's weird. So that kind of is a bit bugged. 8 technologies. Yeah, so there's a lot of missions that you do ultimately get. Maintain control of 3 provinces. We're just going to do that very quickly, and recruit an additional lord for 100 infections. Okay, like, just sure, why not? Like, this is 200 infections. We're gonna get some post-battle loot, no problem. But let's get that extra Lord right there. That should complete that mission. So it did. Right, so... And we're also going to get a hero. Right here, or 2 heroes. So Cast Sorcerer of Nurgle. Hidden Visage. And, you know, Hidden Plague or Cunning. Yeah, let's just get him. So those are 2 heroes right there. We're going to get rid of the structure because what you want to do, like, you want to get these 2 heroes and then you want to get these 2 heroes. Capacity will increase at tier 3. Okay, so I do need more infections. So we get Doombolt. Let's move some units or 1 unit or maybe 2 units in that army. I'd say Marauders and 1 unit. No, forget the Marauders. Just move these 2 over here. Get Doombolt because we want that mobility. So he does get recruited at rank 7. That's fairly interesting. It's a shame you can't improve the movement range that he provides even further, but what we want to get here, Flash Bomb is always good to have, but you can always go for this one as well. But yeah, Mass Protection, just that extra range. And what we want to do with Doombolt as well is we want to get those first blunderbusses. So we suddenly have a lot more power with this. Like, basically getting Doombolt as quickly as possible is such a significant power boost in this campaign, it's not even funny. Okay, we would want to trigger a rebellion here. And I would like to get those 200 infections as quickly as possible. So we're going to loot and occupy it. The reason we're going to loot and occupy it is that Doombolt has a way of gaining chieftain fealty by looting settlements. You could also pick a fight with Grimgor if you so desire. Maybe even get Doombolt earlier. Like, there are so many benefits if you just decide to take your time with that war with Kholek, if you so desire. So, okay, 200 infections, certainly using the mod over there. We start getting all of this quickly. We get income. We could even get the heroes here, so we could just cancel selling that here and just get the heroes here. So now, with all of this sorted out, we're just going to wait for all of this to be constructed and start building relations with Grimgor. We're also going to declare war on the Chaos Dwarves, on Astrogoth specifically. The benefit of going after Astrogoth, okay, so that's 32. It won't be quite enough to trigger a rebellion right now. 38, let's see. Okay, so 2 turns for a rebellion and then we go to war with Astrogoth. Make sure you use the commandment for infections and corruption earlier and then switch to control and growth because that's going to be pretty useful. So yeah, just eventually, because you don't actually have necessarily the best growth in the world, and you certainly don't want to build those growth buildings. And you also need quite a bit of growth for structures. Like the tier 3 one requires 3 surplus points, which is one of Nurgle's, like one of the things that's carried over with Nurgle that's pretty annoying. But yeah, so is the mountain climate over here. Let's not repair that just yet. Wait for the rebellion to spawn. So rebellion spawns, you deal with it, and then you sell all of this as these structures are completed to Grimgor, and you certainly will be able to get a vassalization agreement. Like if we look at him, if we say like Ice Pure, you can see it's 62 points. It's going to be worth a lot more. And another thing that you can do with Grimgor is like you could potentially engineer a war between him and some of these factions here. He will crush everyone. Like look at Grimgor faction strength for number 1, right? But you can get the non-aggression pact fairly easily with him. He doesn't necessarily like you, so bear that in mind, right? So just try and play nice with Grimgor because you really, really don't want to start a war with him. So just giving him money will certainly satisfy the big green brute. Okay, turn 20. I have constructed all of this here, but with Grimgor, there is a further trick that we can use. Because right now, he's minus 35 in terms of vassalization. But if we rush this cycle and get this to tier 2, I wonder if it's going to count more. It won't. Unfortunate. But so be it. So we just take his money, And then we sell him Ice Spear as well. We might have to wait one turn though. Although if we sell him Saber Mountain, maybe that will work. No, it won't. So Ice Spear, get military access, get a lot of money from Grimgor also in the process. And now Saber Mountain, not quite there, bear in mind. So just wait one turn or two, because what we want to happen here is we want the diplomatic relations with him to increase. And we've got the battle over here against Astrogoth, not really a problem. Take this particular settlement. Like, Astrogoth is a really weak one against you. Like, Grimgor, yeah, he'd put up a fight, like, in the most genuine sense. Like, Grimgor is not an easy one to deal with. But Astrogoth, pretty damn easy, actually, not gonna lie. Like, pretty easy. Also, you'll either get the cult with either Kugath or Epidemius, and then you'll get the cult with other once you're done with that. The reason for going against Astrogoth is, one, when you loot settlements, you do gain extra fealty with Doombolt. And I'm pretty sure like the dwarf stuff is just regular dwarves. But on top of that, you can also get more fealty by defeating Chaos Dwarves with Mornhowl. And the one you want to get after this would be the Crazed, because he would give you that Hell Cannon or 2 Hell Cannons if you do go for him. So like these two are like, they have their own benefits to be sure, but they're like not a really high priority. They're difficult to increase their fealty with. Like technology, okay, fair enough, but like fighting High Elves, Dark Elves, or Wood Elves, are there any Dark Elves or High Elves or Wood Elves close by? No. For this one, it's a bit easier, right? Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and all that. So they're vampires. Like, I will leave him for the last one. He does have some nice benefits, but he's really not a priority, I would dare say. Like, the units he gives are certainly not the best units for that particular cast or lord. Case does have that Plague Duration benefit that we could absolutely use, but you do want to save a lot of the infections. Like, even with the mod, you're going to have to make those kind of decisions over here in terms of, like, what you want to prioritize. So, like, I would recommend getting Mornhowl, getting Doombolt. Mornhowl also gives you this nice benefit of armor for allies in range. So, a lot of, like, Nurgle demonic units, that keep in mind, like, he's certainly... like Tamurkhan is certainly built on the benefits of non-demonic units, but a lot of demonic units may have low armor, so being able to buff their armor is a pretty damn substantial benefit, even if it is a limited range. But you do get stock, you do get ambush success chance, defense stands, and of course with Mornhowl you can also use stalking stands for his current army, which, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so turn 25, I can now confederate Epidemius. The way this worked is I declared war on Malekith the previous turn. I didn't declare war on Malus Darkblade. That would be a colossal mistake to start a war with him until you're ready. Mind you, Malus Darkblade is not going to appreciate it. I got things like non-aggression pact, military access. Make sure you don't get the defensive alliance with him, because that's going to screw you over. And now I can confederate with him. I'm not interested in Epidemius' territory, though I could certainly make use of this particular structure. Yeah, let's just make use of this, like rush construction. That's the limit of how far we can go. So do we want to give this to the Demon Prince? Yeah, we probably do, right? We could even get the vassalization agreement with the Demon Prince. Nurgle vassals. Do I want to vassalize Daniel? Or do I want to try and vassalize Malus? If you could, like, Epidemius can vassalize Malus. Now, you're either going to get the cult with Kholek or with Epidemius. The Epidemius Confederation is much easier than the one with Kugath. As for Grimgor, I have finally built my barracks over here in Saber Mountain, and Grimgor has become my puppet. The way this works, to explain this very quickly, is that the AI values barracks, right? But on top of that, the AI will highly... Interestingly enough, he didn't get the barracks because they're unique structures to Nurgle, so you got... Well, it's fine for Grimgor, right? Because he gets more income. But with those kind of vassal agreements, like, I have gained Grimgor. That is gonna be a fun one. So let's just declare war on Croesus, which should probably drag Grimgor into a war as well. This is gonna be... Oh, yeah, that's the problem. Though Grimgor is probably gonna shortly thereafter join war against him regardless. So now we have a lot of diplomatic possibilities in this particular campaign that we just didn't have before. And yeah, make not just Grimgor, but freaking Daniel your puppet. The more stronger you are, the more willing factions are willing to vassalize with you. The way I was so me vassalizing Grimgor and then vassalizing Daniel, it's like, yeah, we're a lot stronger now than we were before. So yeah, this is like the powerhouse of this campaign, really. We can get a peace agreement with Astrogov, but I feel like I'm not willing to. So next objective after you do all of this, there are certain events that can give you either dominance or fealty with various heroes. Typically, these involve siding against Case because he's going to stir shit up, and it's like you can either put him in his place or side with him, or try a neutral path. Papa Nurgle is not going to be particularly happy with siding against Case because, yeah, increased plague duration. Alright, so you are going to get a bunch of benefits, so let's infect him, reduce our upkeep over there and get those benefits. Now, Zarnagrund, obviously a priority, but picking a fight with Gorf the Cruel directly is, usually speaking, a really bad idea. Though, of course, you could have Grimgor dealing with that, but one of the things you can do here is, like, just sack the settlement, retreat, and next turn, Gorf the Cruel is going to move from Zarnagrund. He's going to move to reoccupy the settlement because he has a really powerful army, so he thinks he can win. Spoiler alert, he cannot. He genuinely cannot. Like, against the powerhouse that we have, against, like, Grimgor and me, it's like, that is not going to happen. And look, if you're interested, like, you could ignore vassalizing Grimgor and let him conquer the mountains more and just set it up. Like, just get the non-aggression for a good amount of time if you're interested. I would still go do many other things in this campaign given the climate limitations. Like, even without the climate limitations, I would still not go after Grimgor. Not because he's so strong, but also the fact, like, the territory Grimgor has is, like, it's slow to navigate unless you have the underway. So you are going to achieve many other things in your campaign faster than if you go after him. I also got this particular hero for the sake, because he's easier to benefit, like, because, you know, defeating vampire coast, all that. Guess what we're gonna do? So leave Kedzak for the last one. Research-wise, what you want to get is you want to save up 200 infections and get Contagious Sword, because that's going to unlock everything here, and then 400 more. So all of these things, like on the right side, and on the left side, rather, and even on the right side, like, they're all very worth it, but you do need, like, 600 infections to go, and maybe 1,000 infections, so, yeah, that's pretty annoying. Alright, I'm also going to test something with the cult, because there is an option to destroy the cult in exchange for putting a plague. I wonder if that will work for Kask. But we shall see. Recruitment-wise, yeah, Warriors of Chaos, Marauders of Chaos, Nurgle. If you don't have the Champions of Chaos DLC, you can go with Plague Bearers. Honestly, like, don't go for Plague Bearers. Like, Warriors of Chaos are significantly better. Though, you could handle the Plague Bearers regiments right now and all that, because you do have a good amount of them. Okay, so ignore that. We're going to take our city back. Now, of course, I had built these two settlements with the idea, like I had built these two armies with the idea that I would use one of them right against, that I would use both of them against Zarnagrund. So this is certainly more complicated. Loot and occupy. The reason you want to loot is, yeah, Doombolt. Like, he gives you that benefit. So, you know, getting to tier 2, getting aligned with him is like, oh, you want Fireglyphs? We can arrange that. So now we can get a peace agreement with Astragoth. Like, he's willing to bend the knee in this particular campaign, and he's just a Warwick Clan Ferric. Skaven. He actually went pretty far north, and I just wasn't really interested in that situation. I wonder if Grimgor is now at war with him. Oh yeah, he probably is. Yep, as expected. So we're we're in a good situation, gentlemen. We're in a really good situation. You can even vassalize Archeon if you really want to, like if that's your thing. So Gorf the Cruel, like this is a battle you'd have to find manually if you're not using AR mods, but it's not really a hard battle, honestly. Like it's genuinely a fairly easy affair to deal with. Just be concerned about your casualties because there's another army over there. So we just get this up, we start leveling. Now obviously, one of the best things you could do if you want to really optimize your chances is come over here from the south. So you can just traverse the entire territory of Zarnagrund and they won't bother you. Don't go for Grungor's territory, he'll hate that. But just come over here, pick a fight with Sire's army, which is going to be in the Vale of Woe. So that way you don't have to fight 40 units, right? What in the hell? Okay, that's weird. Interesting. So, Tower Flies. Yeah, that's, do I want to wipe out Daniel? Do I want to use this army to go after... You know what? Since it's still here, might as well just send it up against Boris Ursus. Okay, so we can't get him just yet. We can get a bunch of other things, of course, but not him just yet. After that, you kind of want to buff Plague Ogres, because you are certainly going to get them. For Kask, you get things like Nurgle Corruption, Plague Duration, etc. Get better training, it's pretty useful for Cavalry when you will eventually get it. Like, don't bother with those unique units just yet. Chaos Vanguard. I do kind of dislike how Nurgle campaigns, and just Chaos campaigns in general, like, the benefits for, like, these Chaos Lords or Chaos Sorcerer Lords is, like, clearly designed for Warriors of Chaos. It's pretty annoying because it doesn't necessarily mesh very well with the kind of units you would actually recruit, and there's some downsides with it as well. Like, basically, the demon benefits, the demon skill lines are better designed for the actual factions. So, Frenzied Assault, Missile Resistance for entire hero, for the Crazed, Strider for Aspiring Champions, that's pretty sweet. Let's get Erding. You also have a good amount of regiments renowned, so if you want more army power, that is available in your campaign. Or, you know, just go with that. Wait, that's gonna go into a tier 3 settlement. Money is being lost. Although I got 50k money from 50 fucking A for defeating Astragoth and making Grimgor my puppet. So this is gonna be a tricky one. Truth be told, the hardest battle that you fight with him is the initial battle, the quest battle that you do have for his item, like the one outside of Nuln. You will certainly, and he, for whatever reason, didn't even equip it. Because reasons. Don't ask me. I don't know. Like, it sometimes bugs out Void Armor. Not the best, but hey, it will work. It will do the trick. So, yeah, take Zarnagrund. You can try and set up an ambush for Sara, or you can just besiege it and fight the battle on the field battle, or you could just besiege Zarnagrund and take it. Or you could take this element and sack it twice, and you might lure Sara into moving in Zarnagrund. The easiest path, though the one that takes more time, is coming in from the south. Sure, but oh, okay, that was a stupid idea on my part, but hey. Like, once you take Zarnagrun, that's it. There's nothing else that's going to challenge you in the course of this campaign. You deal with the vampire counts, you deal with the dwarves, mountain climate. You can also get elves because you can go for... Yeah, that was expected. If you want to avoid this, by the way, taking that kind of attrition damage, yeah, it's just better to... One of the things you can do is like move the army once you take the settlement, move it outside of the settlement, and that way you will avoid this level of attrition, this attrition damage. And the army that you're facing over there will still attack you. So now we're at 5 fealty, and we're going to deal with all the rest. So we've gotten almost, well, we've gotten decently far with all of these guys. He's almost at 10 because he's like, obviously you're getting quite a bit from defeating Chaos Dwarves. He hasn't gained anything because we're obviously not fighting the Empire, but we will. That's the thing. Like, you can go and cafe in this campaign. There's also a particular benefit, a particular objective that does spawn where it gives you 500 infections, but there's another one that's even crazier. Sack or raise 6 Kislev, Cafe, or Empire settlements for 2,000 infections. That is insanity. I mean, truth be told, I'm pretty sure that's balanced around Realms of Chaos, because you start pretty far from Kislev and Realms of Chaos, but geez, that's a hell of a benefit, I'm not gonna lie. So, growth benefits to all provinces, that's the use that he's going to provide there. We could get another plague, though we do have one that's going to last 2 more turns over here. So it's like, is there even a priority there? Not necessarily so. So yeah, just go deal with the vampire counts over here. Losing the path to the east to Grimgor to... Jeez, Boris, what are you doing, man? Holy shit. I did not expect him to be that far east. He's beating the crap out of Archeon by the looks of it. He's coming for me. Damn. Yeah, declaring war on Boris there was not necessarily the wisest move that I could have gone for, suffice to say. So let's just skip ahead a couple of turns and talk about the endgame there. By turn 37, I have unlocked all of the chieftains, and I'm well on my way of completing Ezra's Doombolt's quest over here, as well as various others. Like Case has certainly slowed down over here because creating plagues is not my priority, nor is fighting Chaos, Khorne, or Slaanesh. For others, like, yeah, you know, getting the crazed over here, getting closer and closer to committed, but because I've started fighting Kislev, I would recommend not raising settlements. It's painful enough for Nurgle just occupying them. With respect to fighting High Elves, that your best bet over here is Emmerich. And once you deal with Emmerich, you're kind of screwed, really, in terms of this, but you will gradually build this up, and it's not really a priority. For Mournhowl, Chaos Dwarves, of course, will provide some benefits, but otherwise it's certainly going to be tricky enough getting 20 of this. But you could use raiding, and Blizzardmen, that's tricky. Beastmen, not enough. Ogres, unless you go for Scrag, because by the time you meet Greases, it's probably going to be all over, unless you go declare war on Grimgor pretty quickly. Vampire counts, of course, Vlad, and Vlad is available over there. And also, just purchasing chieftain units, because, like, yeah, Dread, Quake, all that. And you don't need to stack all of these in this particular army, though, yeah, obviously that's going to make them more powerful. Interestingly enough, there's certain events that, like, can even wound your characters because, yeah, they don't get along, suffice to say, in that respect. Although, at this point, with the Epidemius Confederation, though, I could have also just built an army over here. But with the Epidemius Confederation, I did get an army that snuck up on Borisursus' capital, and, well, Archeon defeated Borisursus. And we can now vassalize Archeon. So much for the bringer of the end times, really, in terms of that. So lots of possibilities over there. Like, early on, yeah, save all your domination points, and then just later on, you know, get the units. Though keep in mind, these are pretty expensive units some of these are pretty expensive units to unlock. So yeah, I got Epidemius over here, just transferring all of these units to him, dismissing the army, because my upkeep has not been at a good place for a while now. And getting more heroes, especially from Zarnagrund, like, you know, I can get one of each fairly easily right here in this particular campaign. Also, fun fact, Silver Pinnacle does give you a lot of money through the gems, but on top of that, it also gives you hero recruitment of every type, even at tier 1. At tier 2, you get hero capacity for all of them. So if you defeat Grimgor quickly, so if you do decide to fight Grimgor, you can get some gems, though obviously going for the vampire counts is generally going to be the easier path over there, like the much faster path with respect to that. And yeah, money. Going for max heroes is obviously going to ruin your economy, so be careful. You still don't have money to compete with some other factions, so bankruptcy is still a very, very real possibility in a campaign like this, certainly when you're going for as many units as I have over here. Although, I will certainly sell that to Archon and get rid of, you know, the regiment around. Some nasty fighting has been taking place over here, suffice to say. And now, yeah, just dwarves, because we want that for Doombolt to just max them out. So in a couple of turns, 6 turns, 4 turns, however much, I will be able to max it out, like you can see Ungrim here. The situation that will develop over here will be dependent highly like on RNG. Like sometimes Drycup beats the crap out of Azag, other times Ungrim does that, other times Azag does well. You can certainly vassalize Azag, especially if you take some of Ungrim's territory, or, you know, just build barracks here. Like if I were to abandon the structure, destroy the structure and just build a barracks, I would certainly be able to vassalize Azag. It's a pretty annoying way of vassalization. I would not spread too many plagues, so yeah. Kaisk is kind of like your lowest priority with respect to like getting committed, just because the things that are required to get his level of loyalty are annoying. Don't build these up higher than tier 3. There's absolutely no benefit whatsoever. Like, you know, a provincial capital is going to have a strong enough garrison. Of course, you could always do it if you just want more units, but yeah, it's just like not worth it at all. And certainly this building is not worth it at all to build up to build up higher, because you're not really getting any benefits like in terms of hero recruit rank. Some corruption benefits, but yeah, it's absolutely not worth it at all. Anyway, in terms of like long-term goals, you do want to focus on the following buildings. Like in terms of basic military recruitment, obviously getting the Rancid Alloy for Chosen is always really good. You can also focus on the demonic egg sacs into, you know, the spawn level in order to get Bile Troll. So for a basic military building, I'd focus on these ones. Ignore the Poppies building because it's not really going to add all that much. For advanced military building, though, keep in mind you will need a tier 5 structure before you can really benefit from this. So yeah, you can get Cast Knights of Nurgle at tier 4, but it's just not worth it. Like regular Cast Knights of Nurgle, yeah, they can be good, but the real benefit comes from getting Cast Knights of Nurgle with lances and getting Rotten Knights and, yeah, more knights with lances. So don't bother with the Living Tree of Decay until you've got the tier 5 provincial capital. What you should bother instead is with the Lesser Garden of Blight. And the reason you want to bother with the Lesser Garden of Blight is it's going to give you the Plague Ogres, which are a really solid infantry unit, and then things like Soul Grinders, Toad Dragons, all that. So this building chain, absolutely worth prioritizing over getting the Knight building. Like, especially because when you're looking at Tamurkhan's campaign, you have Chariots for Kaisk, you have Raw Knights for Kaisk, you have Dragon Ogre Shaggoth if you want to, you got Femir, you got Skinwolves for a fast-moving units. You got Mammoths if you want to focus that. You got Centigores. Sure, not as fast, but still, like, focusing on Cast Knights of Nurgle is just not really worth it. You've got enough fast-moving units that you can get in a campaign like this. Besides, a lot of the power you have is not necessarily from fast-moving units. It's obviously from just the power that comes from having, like, really good infantry. hero spamming Regents Renown, that's really where the power comes in. Though, certainly, long-term benefits, but I think Plague Ogres are just the better choice. For artillery, you may want to spread, like you can get, in terms of artillery, you can get a couple of Cygors, right? So you can get up to 2 Cygors, you can get up to 1 Dreadquake, and 2 Hell Cannons. The way I'd use these is I would give one of these for one army. The reason you want to spread these out is for the wall breaker ability, but here's the thing. Chaos Ogres, one real benefit for Chaos Ogres, is Chaos Ogres have wall breakers. So one of the problems that a lot of demonic armies have is unless you get artillery, or you're playing Warriors of Chaos and have Shadowstone, you don't have a way of breaking walls, so your siege tactics are limited. But, yeah, Plague Ogres, you have Wall Breaker on all of them. So that's another reason to focus on that as opposed to Chaos Knights. Like, just a lot better when it comes to sieges. Really solid unit, good stats, good amount of HP, good level of damage. Pretty crazy charge bonus, actually, and decent level of speed. That is all. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.